Peter was dying of excitement over achieving his dream of getting published in the American Science Journal and thus quickly told May about it. She was acting pretty casual on the phone, but in reality she was extremely proud, handing out issues in her homeless shelter alongside her husband J. Jonah Jameson's dad. However, Eddie Brock would suddenly pull up to the shelter cause he was one of the few who knew that Martin Lee was Mr. Negative and is using May's shelter as his criminal base of operations. But then when Lee comes out to shake May's hand, she sort of remembers the time he once wiped her memory when she caught him killing someone and ultimately passes out. Spidey gets a word of that and quickly gets on his way there while Eddie is closely following Lee, blaming himself for May's injury, stating that he should have acted earlier. And so having enough, he transforms into Anti-Venom and chases Martin down to kill him before Spider-Man shows up to stop him, unaware that Lee is Mr. Negative. So he was reasonably confused when Eddie told him that he let the real monster get away, as the two then fight it out until Eddie eventually overpowers him due to his negative powers, weakening Peter's spider abilities. Eddie therefore manages to take Pete captive at an old meth lab where he would fail to remove his mask because it was sort of glued onto his face. But he nonetheless expresses that he's a good guy now, explaining to Peter that Martin Lee is the crime lord Mr. Negative, which Peter didn't believe, stating that Brock must be on some of that meth. So he just left him stuck in his webbing that also sort of weakened Pete's abilities until he managed to use some acid and break out, only for Eddie to show up and cover him up with webbing all over again to take him along and pin him at a site where he can get to see that Martin Lee is Mr. Negative. But then while waiting for Lee to show up, Eddie gets ambushed by Lee with the Muramasa blade that basically disrupted his healing factor. A vigilante calling herself Wraith then shows up to free Spidey so that he could take down Negative's goons, until he eventually knocked him down, giving Wraith the opportunity to use her technology and scan his face, ultimately confirming that he in fact is Martin Lee. She then quickly used her technology to spread the information all over the news, absolutely shocking everyone, especially May. And so while Lee managed to get away with his goons promising to get his vengeance, Peter knew that he couldn't leave Eddie behind and thus went to take the blade out of his back and apologized to him for not trusting him earlier, which essentially was all Brock wanted to hear, as he then leaves finally feeling like a hero for once.